You may have heard that Louisiana just passed a bill mandating that classrooms across the state post the 10 Commandments in every single classroom. Supporters say, well, back in 2022, they let that coach back into his job, the Supreme Court did, but that was on the grounds that the coach was practicing private speech. There is nothing private about this. This is a state requiring a highly religious document, if you want to call it that, forcing it into every classroom across the state. And who cares if the students in that classroom, or if the teacher, or if the teacher's assistant, or for that matter, anyone in that classroom, in that school, isn't religious or isn't Christian. Supporters also claim that there is legal, historical precedence for this. But let's get something straight. The Founding Fathers were by no means just devoutly religious. Yes, George Washington was religious, but Benjamin Franklin wasn't so much, and Thomas Jefferson wasn't so much. And let's not even consider the fact that it wasn't until the 1950s that they didn't put "In God We Trust" on our money. So now the question becomes, will this pass the muster of an appeal? And sadly, the answer is no. Well, why is the answer no? Well, because Louisiana is one of 3 states in the 9th Circuit. Well, Louisiana is one of 3 states, I believe, that sits in the 5th Circuit of Appeals, which is highly right-wing and pretty religious. And also, the Supreme Court is equally right-wing and equally religious. Unfortunately, say this does pass both the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court, if for whatever reason it doesn't pass the 5th Circuit, this will just get automatically praised by the right and by the religious. They'll be like, see, we told you, it passed America's Supreme Court. And that will unfortunately be the end-all be-all for any argument against it. And you better believe that if it passes the Supreme Court, it's going to immediately pop up in approximately half the states of this union. And you might say, well, if half the states want it, then why not give it to half the states? Well, unfortunately, that's another can of worms that I don't want to get fully into today. But it basically boils down to the fact that Republican legislatures have kind of just taken over certain states, and so it's no longer exactly the will of the people, but rather the will of the party in power. But I'll save that. As far as the details go, I'll save that for another video. So, one of the big questions that people are asking for some reason right now is, does this violate the First Amendment? The separation of church and state, in which no Congress shall allow the support of a religion, however exactly it's worded. And that's absolutely what's happening. A state legislature just forced one religion in particular, when there's supposed to be no religions supported by any state or the country itself. This state just roundly violated the First Amendment. Again, we will see if the 5th Circuit or the Supreme Court even care. Thank you for watching my video, and you should check out my shorts. My video shorts. They're lonely. They need to be watched.